YKTR Sports Nation, welcome back to the YKTR Sports Show. Joined as always by Skipper Scope, got Vintage Jackson behind there, rocking the Gratefuls as well.
Excuse me, Ice, before we get into this.
What are you doing, you little cocksucker?
Can you,
Yeah, bro.
And we win the Wally Lewis medal, win it, baby!
Wally Lewis medal. Long live the Prez. Long live the Prez.
We're running it back, baby. We're running it back! Woo!
Long live the Prez.
Right.
YKTR Sports.
Sorry about that.
YKTR Sports always sucks Munster's dick. That's why, because he's the fucking man.
I take
That
my
is
licks.
why.
I take my licks when I'm wrong. And when I'm right,
You tell us.
suck my dick.
Guys, we're back. We're officially back. We're in the BSC content studio. We've got the Moose here, all that sort of good stuff available in Chemist Warehouse. Shout out to BSC, Body Science for supporting the boys and getting around the boys as well. Origin was a fucking vibe. Jackson, let's just get straight into it.
Yeah, sweet. We're just going to sort of have a general origin chat here, boys. There's a million storylines to get into, but Skip, other than Prez doing his thing, give me your immediate reactions. What did you make of last night?
Just one little thing too. Sorry, boys, I didn't say anything. I just want to give a shout out to Rabs. Big thing. First game without Rabs. He's a legend of the game.
I reckon he comes back.
Do you think if there's a decider, do you think he comes back for
I
the
reckon
100?
he's got that Bradman out on 99, not out.
That's a
sort
nice.
of vibe. I like
You
it.
wrote. I think did you write something or you said something like 100 or whatever? Come back and people like the nostalgic 99
'Cause of
like
Don Bradman.
I think that's a cool number. If he,
Someone said it's like 33 series of 3 series each, which is like perfect too.
Yeah.
So I like that. But
Yeah.
the 100, man, is right there.
I seen the a little video that NRL 9 did before was fucking got me a little bit teary, man, because he stands out so much because there's not many good commentators around there anymore. But yeah, sorry boys. What was that, Jacko? NRL stuff. Shout out to the guy.
Just give me a reaction on the game, Scope.
All right.
What a game.
What a game.
What a
yeah,
game.
to be fair, like obviously stoked for our boy. I don't know, like I always feel like if the playing field's pretty even across the board and there's just the best players in the world, he somehow makes the best players in the world at times look fucking mediocre. Like some of those plays that he had in particular in the second half, I think him and Ches, you really warmed to it in the second half. I've got to give a massive shout out to the Queensland bench straight off the bat. I think they really kept him in the game early. There was a tug of war happening. New South Wales get first points. I think when Harry Grant and Paddy Carrigan in particular come on, I think they really sparked
Lindsay Collins to that as well.
I think they really sparked it, and then Lindsay Collins was the icing on the cake with about 10 to go in the first half as well. So shout out to those guys for really setting the tone early for Queensland. It was, like I said, it was a good battle. Jackie Whiten, he quiets his haters straight away with his try, but
It was Prez's night, wasn't it?
Prez's night.
Yeah,
Prez's night. Big moments, bro. Like
I was talking to Aaron Smith one time, and I go, "What makes great players great?" And he goes, "In the biggest arenas, guys like your Dan Carters, your Prez's, your Cameron Smiths, and guys like that." He goes, "When everything's on them, like it feels like everything speeds up just for the average player. For those types of guys, everything seems to slow down, and everything seems like a little bit clearer." And like you said, Scope, we've literally it's the pinnacle of our game. We've got all our best players there, and he makes them look kiddies.
yeah.
And he's going up some fucking guns. Nathan Cleary, best player in the game, going up against the best spine in the game as well. And he affected the game not just with his attack, but with effort plays. We were talking about effort plays offline, but like stripping the ball when you're not meant to be. He's shooting out the line all the time.
Intercept.
Joey kept calling him out.
Intercept.
Yeah, intercepts. All the big plays. So you can affect the game in many different ways, and he found a way to win the game without necessarily always using his attack as well. So that was what was super impressive to me about the Prez.
The thing I want to touch on with Ches and Prez, look, and they would have come with criticism as well. Ches started the game pretty slowly. He had a couple of errors. He sort of forced a couple of passes that that we talked about a little bit with
Tino.
Trying to hit Tino straight away. It looked like even Joey said that it was predetermined as soon as he caught the ball. And then he threw one where the cardinal rule for the double pump down the short side is if you get a double pump, then you normally play short.
Yeah.
He flicked it out the back of Val and dropped it. But the thing I love about Ches as well, and you throw Ches into this as well, because he was able to score that first try after halftime off the back of what Prez did on that break, is these two players, although they weren't having their best first half, it was they were going to determine the game. They wanted the ball in their hands, whether it was good or bad. And this is why sometimes they take their licks, just like the skip. They take their licks because they want the ball in their hands in
Don't
big
put
moments.
your name in that category.
Yes, I'm part of the big
Don't
three.
you
Yes,
put
I
your
am.
name. Don't put your name
Yes,
in that
I am.
category.
I'm Chris Bosh in the Miami Heat. There's LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, and I'm Chris Bosh because I'm good for a bucket every now and again. No, yeah, I just love that about him. Like, they would have gone down swinging. It's a little bit concerning too. If, like, you know, obviously if you flip it on the other side. When I'm looking at New South Wales, I think maybe, and I'm not saying, I reckon these guys are going to be ready for the Panthers trio. I think they're in for a big game too, for sure, straight off the bat. But I think it might have been a bit of a detriment for Penrith, the Penrith big three in particular, Cleary, Luai, and Yao, is that they've done it relatively so easy all year at Penrith.
For a couple of years, bro. They've been cruising.
Yeah, even into that final series, they had some really tough games, but those three guys in particular have been so dominant at club level and at their own club that my biggest thing that I thought was going to be a strength is everyone just buy into that Panthers system. It just looked a bit clunky across the board. It is dangerous. Like, it's dangerous if you're a Queensland supporter to, you know, none of them sort of really had their impact, and I think they'll be pumped, and I think they'll be watching a replay of that game going,
that's
you
the
know,
model.
we need to take it on. Yeah.
That's the blueprint of how you beat the Penrith Panthers. You shoot out the line and you make mistakes early, and they done that. They'll put in Isaiah Yeo under pressure. Isaiah Yeo got bumped off the first tackle from Papali'i.
Yeah.
Like that, me and Scope always pay attention to first sets or maybe first 5 minutes. You can get a really good gauge on where the game is. And if you had seen last year when Tommy Turbo rocked up, you just knew New South Wales were on that day. But I wouldn't say Nathan was flustered. I just don't think I've ever seen him under that much pressure, and especially kick pressure and legal kick pressure as well. There was nothing ever dirty about anything what the boys were trying to do. He was putting up kicks. Normally he can put up floaters, torpees. He just didn't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
So that's those little 1%ers, and it comes back to really great coaching.
Yeah.
You go, Billy Slater's a really good coach. He's come from a defensive system. He knows everything about Origin. He was well prepared. He wasn't scared to play football as well, because like you said, Cherry Evans, Munster, they're in the Maloney mold where they don't care what the situation is. They're just going to play what's in front of them as well.
Yep.
And they are going to make mistakes, but they don't give a fuck. They're just going to keep rolling up and asking for the ball and calling for the ball as well. So loved everything about that game as well. Debutants, Carrigan.
Yeah.
Huge.
Cotter.
I knew he was good. I didn't think he was that good.
Yeah. So before, actually, I'll talk about the Carrigan bit. One of the main parts that I was so impressed with in Carrigan, not only his first stint, they cut to the team at halftime.
He was buzzing.
He was vocal, and he was
clapping.
He was having a chat. Billy was really engaged with him. You could see straight away when I seen that, I was like, okay,
He's been
that's
a
why
club captain, hasn't he, at the Broncos?
Yeah, that's why they named him club captain at the Broncos. That's exactly what I was about to say.
You put him at Payne Haas and Carrigan, and you go, which one would I take? And a lot of people would go Payne Haas. In that region, like, just we've only got one bit of game to go off.
Yeah,
he stood out like a fucking.
Yeah, they're just both elite players. You know, it's hard as well. Like, we're at game one. There's always going to be a bit of an overreaction to how good they played, but there's also going to be games. So yeah, I know it's going to be exciting without these New South Wales Blues players. They're not. I think other media outlets and you know podcasts might be a little bit more harsh on the New South Wales Blues as it comes. So you just got to. I'm looking for that bounce back effect as well.
Yeah, they're gonna bounce back and bounce
with
back. With
regards to your kick pressure, it just really reminds me of what Melbourne did to Nathan Cleary in the grand final 2 years ago, when they sort of took that, it looked like that was a non-negotiable. They're going to take his kicking game out of it. Nathan can put it on a string, man, and there were times where they actually didn't get there. I think they got after him so many times. I'd say maybe 4 out of 5, or 5 out of the first 6 times he kicked it. That even when there wasn't kick pressure, he was feeling it. He was feeling like he missed a couple. He's got those really nice floaters.
Kicking's about rhythm, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it just threw him off nice and early. And that's a Melbourne Storm thing for sure. Billy would have gone in with a game plan. All right, here's a non-negotiable. One thing we're not going to let happen is Nathan's not going to put pressure on our wingers with those kicks where they're winning the field position battle. If you're at first marker, you fucking go and get him. So now we come down to adjustments. Is Freddie able to counteract that? Is Nathan able to counteract that when it comes into game 2? Because they're going to expect it. And then, it's the balance of what happens in game 2. I'm excited to see what happens.
And then where's the outlet pass from that as well? So like Jerome Rulua is more than confident kicker as well. Damien Cook, probably not a kicker. And James Tedesco is not a kicker as well. You flip over to the other side, Money can kick, KP can kick, Harry Grant's got enough of a kick. More like more like Benny Hunt can kick. He almost smacked the 40-20 out of Hooker as well. And he got that
repeat set,
which was huge as well.
Money went into Hooker and kicked it back to him. They kind of Queensland so easily fall. It looks like they're falling out of structure, but they're all such gun footballers. They just revert.
They're also skilled, bro.
And the thing about Penrith, and I've been there as well. So like a lot of the times when they do play their ad-lib football, there's structure within that football as well. And like Ivan used to train it, so we used to train for offloads, and you had a system within that system. So from an outsider looking in, it looks like they're just fucking doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
But there's actually structure in behind that. So you look at, like Scope said, you look at Penrith over the past couple of years. That structure, Yao, Nathan Cleary into Jerome has always worked for them as well. But when the pressure's on, when your forwards start getting tired and you can't throw that shape with all those numbers behind you and you're not getting that big roll, you got to have an outlet somewhere else. Yeah. And that's where Munster and TCE, they're just natural footballers. And we talked about the young guys coming through with Queensland. Something about Queensland, young guys, they're not afraid to play football. You've got Sammy Walker, Reece Walsh plays a very similar style. So they're backed up for the next couple of years as well.
Yeah.
You look at Penrith, their system is so fucking good. And why would you change when you're dominating teams like this and playing grand finals every week? But that sort of origin pressure, when you're under pressure a lot, you got sometimes when it's not working, you got to look for something else. And Penrith have never really had to do that. So it was an interesting thing to watch as a purist.
Can I ask a dumb question? Just on that kick chase.
Better than anyone else, Jacko. Better than anyone else.
On that kick chase thing, because I shockingly haven't kicked a ball in a game of Origin before, but is it a problem of them getting to the wrong spots? Because it seemed like to me he was always kicking, the pressure was always coming on the same side that he was kicking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right foot coming from the right side. Is that as
That's what you want. That's what you want.
No, I think it's more of a factor what I was talking about. There's a lack of options. There. So Damien Cook, not a noted kicker. A bit like Penrith. Api Karaciel is not going to kick the ball. Dylan Edwards is not going to kick the ball. So same as Teddy and Cookie. So what it does is you're able to focus in on one guy. So when you look like you're talking about Queensland, you want to get kick pressure, but you're at first marker. You look up, you got Prez, or if they're on a 2-pass, that's another option. If they're right against the edge, you could see it didn't bother Queensland because then Cherry or Munster would get it first receiver and go bang, 2-pass, get out of there.
And think of a basketball analogy. If Steph Curry, you're going to go close him out if he's on the 3-point line as well. So everyone knows where basically the ball's going to go. So our job as a first marker, and you've got Tina, you've got all those Queensland forwards that love to work hard, we'll just go chase Cleary. And if he does have an outlet pass to someone like a Jerome Lua, you'd rather expect that because you're not going to get the arsenal of kicks that Nathan Cleary has. You're not going to get a floater. You're not going to get a torpy. You're not going to land a meter out from the line. You're going to pass it off to their secondary kicker, and he ain't like a Klay Thompson.
Exactly. So why did Steph Curry struggle last year? He didn't have Klay Thompson. He didn't have Jordan Poole hitting him at a high click last year. Now they're both hitting it. If you go towards Steph Curry and try to shut him out, you've got other guys that can make plays. So that's sort of I think that was the biggest thing that stood out because Queensland could just zero straight in on Nath. I think you'll see early on in game 2, Jerome will be getting his hands on the ball a fair bit, and the X factor, Latrell, he comes back. If he'll come back and play game 2. I'm adamant he comes back and plays game 2 for sure. He'll come back in. He's got a nice little kick on him as well. So that's another little spanner that we'll throw into that. That'll help out Nath, take a little bit of pressure off Nathan game 2. That'll.
Guys, this podcast is brought to you by Steady Freddy, our good mates over there. Use our code for 15% off, YKTR15 for a better fucking world. Boys, on the show, we speak about champions and who tries to come first a lot, but coming first in the bedroom, sometimes it pays to come second as well. So make sure you use our code. Shout out to Steady Freddy for supporting the brand and supporting the podcast. Use the code YKTR15 for a better fucking world.
Speaking of outside backs, how impressed were we with
Val Holmes?
Gun.
I know Origin Gags and Gags was sensational, but I thought Val, Scope, you said it upstairs up until about 10 minutes to go was probably.
Well, everyone knows I had money on the Prez, yeah, because Prez is my guy, so I was a little bit worried because Val Holmes is playing. I thought he had it. I thought he had it with about 60 to 70 to go. If it wasn't for maybe the second strip on Stephen Crichton, I think was this maybe the second time. It could have been the first, but whatever one the second one was, I was worried the Prez was just going to get pipped by Val Holmes because he was fucking unreal. Not only with the ball, scored a meaty defensively, man. Like A couple.
Oh, yeah, he's been good, eh?
Last year, when we were talking about the Cowboys, I sort of alluded to this with Val Holmes. Going over, people don't realise when he went over to the NFL, even though it's like another football sport, it's a completely different game. It's more like speed and power. So when he went over to play there, it would have taken him a while to get his conditioning back. Sort of alluded that it was probably going to take him about a year to sort of get back into footy shape, and he is well and truly back into, not only just in this game, if you've been watching Cowboys games, he's been unreal as well. So
he's got a great read on D at the moment, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's whatever. I'll put this down to Todd Payton again. Whatever he said to up there with Peter Hiku and Val Holmes, I think. Iron sharpens iron up there. These two will be going to each other all the time, and Val's improved out of sight, man, because Pet is one of the more underrated defensive centres in the game too. So a bit of credit to everyone up in North Queensland and to the man himself, Val Holmes. He was unreal.
And like every part of his game was good. Like his carries were strong, even when he was at centre. When bombs were going up, like sometimes when a bomb goes up, you're like... And even though sometimes he might be outsized from someone who's a bit taller, like a Crichton or someone, you just felt like he was going to come down with the ball. He wasn't going to let you down.
He's fucking attacking it too.
Yeah, he was flying, bang.
Yeah. He was sprinting. Some of those ones where it was dropping around the 20 or 30 mark. In big games, you get the opportunity, like I've seen it happen before, where wingers will come in and go, oh, we got a bit of real estate. Let's just fucking let this one drop.
Yeah.
Bang, it drops. And then it sort of takes him out from making that error. And then everyone else is involved to fucking do what your role is, go in and catch the ball. Val every time he went after it. So
and that's a Slater thing. I remember Sandor talking about that. And if you watch Billy Slater back in the day, balls never touched the ground. No. Never. You'd never see a ball bounce 3 times of Slater. So Ivan used to always say, I'd rather see a fullback drop a ball having a crack and then letting it bounce as well. So yeah, that was probably down to a bit of coaching
KP
as well.
Was the same. KP was attacking him the whole night, especially particularly in that last 5 to 10 when they put one up to Crichton and he contested it and KP just fucking.
I thought KP was really safe.
He was solid.
I thought KP was really safe. He threw that cutout ball to Cobbo that he swooped and picked up. Cobbo with his limited touches was fucking nice as well. So there's some really good performances. Obviously the pack, the bench in particular.
Huge.
But yeah, do you want to roll into New South Wales and where you think? So obviously rolling over to the Blues now. Fuck, they lost 16-10. I think people were going to overreact to this. This is my point. I think they
had the chances too.
Yeah, they had their chance.
Polo.
Fucking, they were 2 meters away from fucking. They were 2 meters away from tying it up, despite how good you think Queensland went, and probably how bad there's a performance. That's why I'm a little bit worried about game 2. Like if people are going to get too far ahead of themselves up at Queensland, and then people are going to they're going to come after New South Wales for sure in the media and be really critical.
Why weren't they ready game 1? And New South Wales, we haven't played here in 2 years. You got $80,000 people in ANZ. What happened? That's the question. If you're not up for that,
there's never. It's hard to put it in words. It's just like
how can you not get up for that?
I thought one of Jacko's tweets was the best. Well, when you look at that first half, how Queensland were in front. 6-4.
It's the most Queensland shit.
It's like watching that first half. Yeah, the bench were unreal, but they sort of I think Carey coming at 20. He come on fairly early, 20 around the 25 minute mark.
I like that.
And then they did the double interchange straight away with Carrigan and then rolled Collins on.
Do you have extra interchanges in Origin? I feel like he was rolling them out really early.
The Josh Papali interchange was strange. That
seemed
15.
Super early.
He was gassed, man.
Was he gassed?
Yeah, Big Papa was gassed.
He started fucking red hot.
Yeah, like that.
Jammed Katoni. Bro, he's putting on some big shots, some big carries.
Physically, like New South Wales started the game really well. It's just, it got a little bit away from him, I think. Sometimes when you come on these things, like where you're right, fuck the selections, and once things don't start going your way, and then some of those guys, there's a little bit of doubt. Like they hear all the news, they hear all, these players were dropped. Should they have been dropped? Through the middle, man, like that fucking. This is what I said about Jakey. When Carrigan comes on and all these sorts of players, the first thing I started thinking about was like, Jakey wouldn't allow that shit.
Snapping him.
Like, I can't prove it. Like, all I can say is I've watched Jakey play over the years. I've seen him play in that arena, and that bench come on had their way with the New South Wales bench and the New South Wales middles. And I was watching it going, they're missing Jakey through the middle. I think he was a big one for me. Me and Mace both spoke about that. I think Jackie Whiten was fucking really good for New South Wales. James Tedesco was really good.
Quick apology to Whiten, because we were like, I would put Crichton straight in, but he was their best back.
Yeah.
He's just an Origin player, isn't he?
So if
physicality,
does Latrell come straight back onto the left? Does that mean Jack moves into the 14 role, or do you put him on the right?
I'd keep him on. You need him on the field as long as possible because he influences the game. Yeah. So I thought obviously like Katoni, and probably the one thing about Katoni's game is like he doesn't mind waiting for the game to come to him as well.
Yeah.
And you can see that at Broncos. You see Hebu Farnworth put up like maybe 200 metres, 2 tries, and he can just cruise on the side and be happy with that. I think it took him a while to get into the game. And he did have some nice touches. Obviously his carry hurt Xavier Coates as well, like done a little syndesmosis and stuff like that. But I feel like he was locked up.
Yeah. I'd stick with Tony. I'd stick with Katoni on the right, bring Latrell back to the left, and put Jackie on there because Jackie, he just offers you so much as well. Like it sucks to demote a guy that played so well in a game like that, but with Jack White, and it gives you so many options, man. He can come and
in
he
the
could
14, in the 14. You mean
you could play him front row, bro, like Jack White. Like
enough.
he's that fucking physical and tough. And sometimes for me, he's a bit of a victim of his versatility. If they were to drop him, but for me, I'd bring Latrell straight back in. I'd give Tones another go. Like I've seen enough from Tony over the last couple of years Tony Staggs, that he'll be suited to Origin. The game didn't come to him. He probably could have made a bigger effort to get involved a little bit more. Just when he was starting to and he was starting to get a carry, I think he injured himself on that same tackle that Coates got injured. And it looked like he carried it. So maybe he's not even for him to come off in Origin, I reckon he must be fucking pretty banged up. So we'll wait and see what happens with him there.
He's tough.
Maybe he's not even available for game 2 because it looked like both those guys tried to carry it like for as long as they could, and they just couldn't.
You're right about Tedesco, bro. Like
Teddy was fucking.
When you watch him play, you're just like fuck. You're just waiting for him to break the line or do something. And obviously, he almost got that try as well. That got disallowed, but man, he's levels. It's like him and Munster are just like clear standouts in both their sides.
Did you think that pass to Teddy was forward?
No,
I thought it was forward. Yeah, I thought it was forward. But then also
there was a couple shonky forward ones.
Yeah, Joey was saying the other one with Catewell tipped onto Vel. Was it Vel?
I thought that was sweet.
I thought that was forward as well.
Did you?
So if you're going to call one, you've got to call both. That's my thing. And so
agreed.
I think it went both ways, which is because they were both probably out of the hands backwards, but floated forward. So if you're going to rule one way, you've got to rule the same the other way. So
and the other side, they're like passing into contact as well. So like if they're still moving forward, it might deceive to go back, but they're not passing it.
If they'd given both of them ice, I would have been happy.
Yeah. But then like you look at New South Wales, missed opportunity as well. Benny Hunt fucked up one to DCE right at the end as well. Like, that would have sealed it fucking 100% as well.
Everyone's quick to criticise referees, I think, after Origins if they have a shit performance, but I thought he was actually pretty good. I
didn't mind him. There's nothing crazy,
let him flow, and he didn't really... he didn't influence the game, which is what you want from a referee.
Yeah.
Yeah, losing fans always try to find a reason and get into refs when it in big games, but...
And this was State of Origin is like the pinnacle as well. So you can only go one or two ways or not care. It's like politics. Like you're either left or right. So everyone has this really fucking in-depth opinion about, and half the people are always going to be mad as well.
Big topic scope out of it was obviously Isaiah Yeo on that first carry. You alluded to it at the start.
Yeah. He knocked
out.
Do
you think he should have come straight?
Oh, mate, if it was club level,
he's off.
Yeo's not playing for sure. And
might come back after the test.
I don't mind it. Like I don't want players to be playing with CT in this day and age. But Origins get fucking Origins get even with the speed tackle Crichton on Munster. Munster's head 100%. And I'm not just sticking up for my boy here. His head hit the ground first, and then it wasn't proper fully dangerous. But at NRL level in the last fucking 3 or 4 weeks, it's no worse than what Kepi did in the Parramatta game. If anything, it's probably worse than what Kepi did. But it's Origin, so 6 again. So there are some things like I was happy to let it slide because I'm like, yeah, this is Origin. I don't want to fucking see Munster break his neck. I don't want to see Isaiah Yeo to have head damage later on in his life. But
yeah, it's Origin.
But it's Origin. Like this is our fucking pinnacle. Like we want to see players staying out there. I want to see 13 on 13. I want to see our players, if they can tough it out,
boys,
get through it.
Boys, got a giggle for you.
Yeah, go on.
DCE Captain's Challenge.
Was he sweet? What was he thinking?
What was he sweet? Well, the funny thing was the way that the video ref explained it. He goes, "It was a slap."
No,
it was like a slap in the face.
Did he say glance?
No, he said it's a slap.
Yeah,
it's a slap.
Okay. Yeah, that was awful.
But he was like this far off the ground and he still tried to challenge it. That's like, when props knock the ball on and like, challenge. And our boy DC is nice and measured.
Hey, cheers, mate. That's not good enough. That's not good enough for you, mate. That's awful. Whenever I fucked up, that's what he would say to me, Ches, that was the worst captain's challenge I've seen. Because
he's the captain.
There's been bad ones. Yeah,
he's the captain.
There's been bad ones in the past, but they're generally been by bench front rowers.
Wingers, props.
You caught it on yourself. And that was a love tap at best.
He was trying to get that NRL judicial.
I love that the rule is like any contact to the head, like they've got to be careful with their language, and the video ref just goes, "That's a slap."
Shout out video ref.
Yeah, that was a good call.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the coaching, boys. Ice, we'll start with you. So Billy Slater gets the wood over Freddie. I suppose the questions, like Scope said, if they had won, all of his selections were probably going to look like he'd struck gold. The pressure now comes on. Was he trying to be too vibey with the Campbell Gillard Liam Martin swap? Did the Crichton pick make sense? What do you make of the coaching of both of the guys?
I think Scope called it out pretty early, but like hindsight's 2020. Like
exactly.
we consider it all.
But it wasn't
now.
hindsight. I called it early. Like Billy was.
That's foresight, Skip.
That's foresight.
Yeah, that is. But like we can sit it now and judge all those. But all those guys are good enough to play Origin.
Yeah,
they just sort of missed it. And like I think Billy's I think he's going to few one of these.
Oh, fucking for sure.
Knocks on the door.
I think he'll do it for a couple
NRL
of years.
Country.
I think it'll.
He has to take over Melbourne, though. He has to take over Melbourne.
Yeah, Billy will determine who he wants to coach and when he wants to coach. Dare say it's going to be Melbourne Storm when Belly's. They'll have a conversation between them. I think. I don't know. Just Billy Slater, Maroons. I think he might enjoy doing this for a couple of years, learning his craft, because he's doing some assistant coaching down at Melbourne already with the backs.
Yeah.
So he might just devil on that for a couple of years. Got a good gig at 9. Keep that going. When the time's right, he'll just go knock on the door to Bellyache.
But when you look at Billy Slater, and he was a fucking superstar of our game, but he wasn't necessarily like a superstar coming through. You know what I mean?
He's
like
a jockey.
He's a jockey, but he had outstanding speed. But he started to develop his game over time, and like he'd get by on speed, and then he learned how to pass. So when you look at a lot of superstars of the game, and they transfer into coaching, a lot of the game come very easy to him.
Yeah.
And I know he had a really great career, but I feel like he's one of the hardest working guys to get to that sort of status as well. So it wasn't like a Joey where he was a superstar coming all the way through. You just knew he was going to be a success. So he's kind of got that nice little balance as well. And then obviously come through that Melbourne, you always hear this, the Melbourne system. But when you hear him speak, and like Normie talked about this when he was in camp he goes, bro, like out of everyone that was around, he goes, bro, Billy Slater, like he's got it.
Yeah, so I've told this story as well, living with Normie, told us and Ice, Normie's one game at Origin, they were doing video, and this is the attention to detail he sort of concentrates. They were watching video and they were going through the motion. I think it was in a post session, and Billy was obviously the assistant coach at the time, and he stopped the video, and the boys were a little bit like confused because nothing had happened, and he just went back to, he pointed out the pass. I think obviously if it was Ches and Normie, it must have been somewhere where the shape where one of the boys had to catch a ball like this, and it was right on top of the shoulder. And he goes, "That's the difference, boys." He goes, every ball we need to be hard on each other. We need to get the ball out in front, because that could be the difference between whether it's starting at the ruck, through the middles, getting the ball out in front, and Normie end up just going fuck, like taken aback about how minute, like the details that they try to get right at, not only with Billy Slater, but obviously it must have come through at the Melbourne Storm system. And even Cam Smith says a lot, bro, when he speaks about Billy. When you think about Cam Smith, you always think about him controlling the game. And I know these boys really, they speak glowingly of each other all the time, and they very rarely talk about themselves. But he basically said having Billy out there was like having another coach sitting behind him all the time, identifying. So, Jacko, you're talking about places where they needed to get on the right part of the field. He would say Billy would be sitting out there. Blake Green said it before on my podcast when he come on a couple of years ago, where Billy would tell him what part of the field to get to for the kick, where the kick pressure was coming from. All these little things, man, all these details, and you can just see it straight away.
And you've seen it in that little training. You remember he was training at the start of the year, just playing like offside touch or some shit like that. Bro, and he's going up against current NRL players and just making them look kiddies.
It was a bad day to be a green bib in Melbourne Storm.
The old Reggie side as well. But like you said, there's two very different styles of coaching, Jackson. You've got and both styles can work in Origin. You looked at Mal Meninga. He was just there to get all the boys around him, and the spine would go down and have a coffee and speak between them. Obviously, you got JT and all the big dogs and stuff like that.
They don't
But
need much coaching, those boys.
They don't need much coaching, but you'd look at the New South Wales and they'd probably have a similar system where like we'll just copy the Penrith thing and it's Freddie's job just to get in there, make it feel light, make it feel fun, take the shoes off after training, get into breathing, get into yoga, all that sort of stuff. But I don't, as great as Freddie is, I don't think you'd have that minute attention to detail. And like Scope said, like that's the difference. The pressure that Nathan Cleary was under was some I haven't seen since probably the grand final when when the White Rhino, Christian Welsh, was chasing after him all game as well.
Yeah.
So very different styles of coaching, both can work, but imagine just being in that changing room and Billy Slater's giving you a speech and you look to the left of him, you got Cameron Smith, JT, Nate Miles, and these kids would have come up looking up to these guys. But when you sit in a room like that, not only do you not want to let your state down, you just don't want to let the big dogs down as well.
There was a moment before the game, bro, it reminded me, the cameras shot to the Queensland dressing room and you saw it, I think it was the 2020 series when they had no right to win and they won it. Was that one?
Yeah.
2020?
One of the greats.
One of the greats. And that was Wayne Bennett, correct?
Yep.
And Wayne Bennett in the sheds was crouched in front of, I think it might have been Corey Allen and it might have been not the Hammer, someone else, debutant. They're sort of giving them that one-on-one chat. The cameras last night cut to the dressing room and Billy was sitting down
Cobbo.
with Cobbo, just talking to him one-on-one. And then right at the end of the game, the first person he was talking to was Ruben Cotter. So he's just got that little man management thing, which we all know Freddie has. But I agree with you. He also has got the Melbourne attention to detail. So
Need a
I
bit
think
of both,
it doesn't surprise anyone that he's probably going to be a fucking wicked coach, but it was a decent first showing.
Yeah, back over to New South Wales, to roll back over to New South Wales. A couple of changes. I think straight off the bat, I think Jakey will come back in for sure. I'm not too sure who ends up dropping out.
I'd say Madison.
Most likely Madison off the back of what May said and his performance. He didn't really affect the game. It was hard for him. He sort of come back and they were on the back foot when he comes in, but yeah, he's got to please play a part in that. So
if you're on the back foot, come out the line like Carrigan did first shot.
Yeah, Terrell comes back in and Toops and Toto weren't the reason New South Wales lost either. Fucking they got in and they carried the ball really hard, mate. They were unreal. So it might be a little bit harder for the Fox to get back in. I guess that's the other big one that people will be calling for. Who do you think the Fox plays a part in game 2?
Yeah,
or do you think Suwali?
I like height.
Yeah.
At the moment, because it's a specky-a-thon. So in this Origin game, if Coates didn't go down, you potentially got 3 of the best 4 guys over the next 15 years that are best in the year. Izzy Folau number 1, Tupou number 2, and then those other 2 are going to be right up there with some of the best, purely because of height, skill level, and physical ability to be able to get up as well. So I think it's still really important. In saying that, Valentine's isn't big, KP isn't big, but they still come down with the ball as well. So if they can affect their games in different ways, I don't think Fox has got as strong as a carry as both those guys when the lines are set. But he's an elite finisher as well. And you might lighten up the mood in camp as well. So you got Tolu.
He'd be good for energy.
He'd be good for energy. He's going to be talking. Once he's in a great system of players around him, defensively, he's very sound. So I don't know. If he gets in, I hope he gets in.
Tupou, I reckon they were good, man. I reckon they were good. So I don't want to. This is obviously Fox is the big one that everyone's going to be talking about. But I don't think Toto or Tupou either warrant.
May I throw a spanner? Olakau'atu. Off the bench for Ryan Madison. I know Jakey's going to be in and around there somewhere as well.
Yep.
Like the guys who I thought were just going to kill it was obviously the Penrith spine and Cam Murray. And I know Cam Murray scored a try, but he was just sort of sitting there like,
Ice, how much of that was, we spoke about it earlier in the year. Remember when the
Demetrio.
Remember when
Demetrio I don't know why coaches keep putting. I was going to get to that as well. Yeah. I was critical of Jason Demetrio starting Cam Murray off the bench, trying to be too vibey against the Melbourne Storm. Why would you start Cam Murray off the bench? I don't get it. Sometimes
Liam Martin was good though.
I don't think that's the point. I think the point is I don't think Cam Murray is any. I don't think you get any more value out of bringing him off the bench.
You know what I mean?
He should never have Pine on his ass unless he's fucking injured.
Yeah, exactly.
Injured or tired, eh?
Yeah.
He should never start the game with Pine on his ass.
Yeah, 100%.
Never.
No Marsha Hine. But yeah, I think
even the Gillard, the Campbell Gillard for Paulo swap.
I like that. I'd do that as well because I'd rather have RCG start and Paulo come on. No, I don't know. Like I think, and Scope always talks about this with Paulo is like sometimes when he gets pass happy, like Parramatta are the best when he's the main guy going forward. And I think his first two touches he was trying to pass out, but once he started to go square and direct, he almost went over as well. So obviously there was obstruction, but those feet are fucking elite.
I think the big thing with Junes, once he gets himself into the game with a couple of carries early, and then it opens up the pass. Like the game that stands out for sure is the Penrith game. When he played against Penrith and it wasn't happening for him, he just tucked it under, man. And there was a couple of times where in that Penrith game, Parramatta would make about 15, 20 metres and he just took it upon himself to go straight through the middle of Penrith. Junior's get ready for a big bounce back from Junior in game 2 too. I think he'll be fucking pumped.
I agree.
Who Para playing? I feel sorry for whoever Para playing too.
I agree with Scope with like New South Wales weren't that bad.
No,
like
weren't.
Queensland out
Queenslanded them.
Yeah.
Was it?
just a little bit, bro. But they actually weren't that bad. But when
They just got Munstered.
They
They legit just got Munstered. Like, if you think about that game, they were attacking 2 or 3 times with 20 minutes to go. Munster intercept. Ches intercept.
Yeah,
So
Ches
in the
was
press. Don't sleep on the skipper. Come on, mate. And then 2 steals. But New South Wales were coming home, man. Like I said, 2 metres out from the line. Felice Kafusi tackle. KP over the top. Fuck, it goes to Golden Point. New South Wales win. As good as you think.
Golden Point, you think Nath is probably that guy. Anyway,
He is that fucking guy.
And so Cheers. You said Cheers 1 pointer.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping for it. That would have been even better. Fucking
that would have been awesome.
I would look like a fucking genius.
But you got to think, this is Origin. We're at the tippy top of the mountain, bro. So like we're looking at this game with like a magnifying glass and trying to pick out anything, and it could have gone either way as well, to be honest. So
yeah,
it's going to be a fucking good series as well. Yeah. One thing I did write down is like, it's not much, but like when you look at Penrith play scope, you feel like they're playing for something bigger than themselves. You feel like they're playing for the area. When you hear about Queensland and the Queensland spirit, and I'm not saying it doesn't matter to New South Wales, I just think it matters just a little bit more to Queensland. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
And it's more.
But I think New South Wales know that. New South Wales fans know that. We got to like.
Is it a Sydney thing though? Because you know in Sydney, like
we got too much happening.
Mate said it on Monday's show. He goes, like, historically, it was always more to them because it was a fuck you, New South Wales. And
yeah, because of what happened
New
earlier.
South Wales definitely have a fuck you to Queensland, but it's not as deep-seated hatred.
But you know, you've lived in Sydney long enough now. Like everyone here is just trying to get over the top of everyone to get somewhere as well. It's not like a sort of community base. Like I was thinking about this on my walk this morning. I would have walked past about 100 people on Bondi to Brunny. Not one person said hello. You know, everyone's just trying to get to, when you drive into work, everyone's trying to cut you off. No courtesy waves. If you think about Sydney like that, everyone's just trying to get on top of each other. I think Queensland have a more of a community base. And most of those boys come from like country towns and stuff as well. So they're always trying to help people get through and they're more well-mannered and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, even the point I brought up with Mason, I asked him the question up in Queensland, like, because I've never lived there, but what's the vibe like around Origin? Because you don't never really hear too much from Queensland. You know why you don't hear anything? Because positivity doesn't sell. So everything's positive up there in Queensland. It's all like, come on, Queensland, they get behind them. Even when they're the underdogs, fuck, we're the underdog, worst Queensland team ever. But they thrive on it. Like, New South Wales, you know, we're talking about Freddie selections.
The red light just goes green, and some cunts behind you on the horn go, ding, hurry the fuck up. Everyone's trying to shoot each other.
Saying, give me those halftime tweets 10 seconds into halftime.
Yeah, exactly. You see that? Lukey's going, tweets, fucking, and the messaging, I go, mate, it's fucking been halftime for 10 seconds. Relax.
Fuck that, bro.
To his credit, he took it well. I started laughing, but I was like, fuck, let me write.
Before we move off Origin, game 1. I mean, it sounds stupid, but 70% of the time, the team that wins game 1 goes on to win the series. Have either of you changed your series picks off the back of game 1, Ice?
My theory was, like, I don't really care who wins. I'm just as a fan, but I lean more towards Queensland because I just really like all the boys and stuff like that. But I did think New South Wales were going to get this one, but I think they'll get the next one for sure. Yeah. Like, if I was I didn't put money on, but if I had money on it last night, I would have gone New South Wales, but I was hoping Queensland's going to win as well. So I still think Queensland get it done. Potentially could even sweep them, to be fair.
Nothing's changed for me because my results went the way I thought. Queensland win game 1, New South Wales come back and bounce game 2.
Suncorp.
And Queensland win the decider at Suncorp.
I said 3-0 from the jump. I'm sticking with 3-0, man. All right, let's move on.
They're a legit chance of a sweep.
I think they absolutely could, yeah. Let's move on to the NRL news because we will get into more Origin stuff as we go on over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure.
Yep.
But the coaching axes obviously was the big storyline. Madge and Nathan Brown gone in the same day. which is a bit of a fucking
that strategy from Tigers to sort of
distance themselves from.
just to throw it into the mix with everyone else, you reckon? Or
Oh, I don't know. I think
No, they were supposed to always do a review around halfway through the year.
they had
and I
already
think this
planned
is-
that. They had KPIs around where they wanted to be on the table after 12 rounds, etc., etc. But let's just start with the Tigers anyway. Ice. Start with Madge. Obviously, we do know that the writing's been on the wall, but did the axing surprise you at all? And then two-part question: where do they roll from here?
kind of did, eh? Like I sort of
A
felt
little
like,
bit, yeah.
like I didn't expect to read that. Maybe like an end of the season one, but yeah. Like we sort of hear things about Madge, and we know players that have been at the Tigers that have been moved on, and obviously we've seen Tiger Town and stuff like that. So I've heard that it was a little bit different than what was perceived on camera, which is always going to be the case with
yeah, for
content
sure.
and stuff like that as well. So it doesn't actually surprise me. I just don't know where the West Tigers really go from there. I still like Scope's idea that he had like a year and a half ago about trying to attract the best UK players to the West Tigers and get like a really good coach from I don't know who the next coach is, and I know you talked about him being like a development coach, but like you said, like Tigers have always had that sort of soft underbelly as well. Like Alex Glenn could have signed there. He was in the office yesterday. He could have signed there a couple of years ago from the Broncos and stuff, and he thought they played out in Campbelltown. I was like, no, you would have been living like right next to the city, one of the coolest suburbs in.
Yeah, Concord.
So I don't think it's a tough sell to get to West Tigers, but I think they've got that stigma around it. You didn't go in there because you just didn't like the club or the idea of the club as well. So I think they need I do agree with the axing, but I think they need a full rebrand from top to bottom. I don't know what that means with playing personnel or coaching or what it even looks like, but there needs to be a change somewhere.
Yeah, I just thought Tigers, although weren't getting the results with regards to win, there were signs, obviously, around Jackson Hastings since he sort of come back and they got a couple of wins and they were playing better footy. They had a shitload of injuries. There's just really outside of their best 17. If the Tigers don't have their best 17, they're like most teams that are down the bottom of the ladder. They can't afford to. They're in that position where they can't afford to have people injured or suspended or not playing. So they really need their best 17 to even be a chance every weekend. But I thought they were showing signs of improvement, even in a couple of those losses. So I thought Madge might have been given to the end of the year. But when I look at it, the more I think about it, I think it might be the case of, all right, Bulldogs are in this period now where they're trying to find a coach, and Warriors, did it spook them into going, fuck, are we going to get the third best available coach?
I like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Good point.
So
There's now like we're not you guys already know. There's probably two guys that everyone wants,
Billy
and
Slater, Cam Serrato.
it's Serraldo's number one. And if you can't get Serraldo, everyone's going to be having a look at Shane Flanagan. And when the Bulldogs got rid of Baz, and then the Warriors got rid of Nathan Brown, the Tigers will be sitting there going, "Fuck, we're going to be picking up the Josh Hannays of the world." You got to fucking figure out. No disrespect to Josh Hannay, that's just because he's
But
the interim goat.
you're a coach, Scope. Who do you take out of those sides? Bulldogs.
if I was the Bulldogs, and this is what I think they're doing, I think I've said it a couple of times now, I think Gus is doing everything he possibly can to get Cameron Serraldo. And if he doesn't, Flano's already said he's keen on the job, but now there is added pressure. So does that quicken it up? He had the luxury about a week and a half ago of maybe trying to do his best. I don't know, Gus. This is just my.
Cam Serraldo holding all the cards now.
Yeah.
Imagine knowing you're the one that
I could be.
everyone wants.
Imagine if we're completely wrong and like they're not even looking at him. But I have a feeling Gus will be trying to go after Cameron Serraldo. If not, but I reckon Flano, bro.
Yeah.
I reckon Flano should go to the Warriors. I reckon Flano would be good for the Warriors.
But then you won't get the Paul Gallen and McInnes rolling over there as well. Like you'd have
Probably
to.
Probably not. So that'd be a big draw card if he somehow could convince them to come over a couple of days a week and do some work for him. But that would be a bit clunky. Yeah.
I just hate how like everyone's making out like New Zealand's like a bad place to live, like Auckland.
Oh yeah. So that was
Auckland's mad. Auckland's mad.
It's mad. I've got some shit that I want to say about that. But the Warriors players and coaches taking the New Zealand Warriors job and then using the I don't want to go to New Zealand as a
no. They're trying to get out.
What do you make of that? Because you obviously played for the club. You're a proud Kiwi, but like the idea that and I don't know Nathan Brown's circumstance. He did say it was family related. Maybe shit's changed. He needs to stay. I'm not saying that, but players as well signing with the Warriors with an opt-out clause that if they go home they don't go.
Yep.
I don't think that's fair to the players, the other players there, or the fans.
Like there's always going to be a club that's like that, whatever part of the, like Penrith Panthers were a club like that as well. They used to just call them like the dumping ground, and I got to start there, from being able to that. And all the coaches used to say, all the managers used to pitch to us with guys that were on the outer but still wanted to play NRL but didn't want to go to the Super League just now as well. So I just think, unfortunately, from the long tail effect of 2020 and the Warriors not having the 20s comp not being available, I think the Warriors have debuted more NRL players since 2008 than anyone out of that 20 system. I think us and the Raiders. So there's been a development path there, but for me, the Warriors have to be a development club.
For sure, they've got to get someone and start from scratch. They've got to know, and there's got to be,
and there's talent there. We got the fucking All Blacks. So it's a like, we're not short of talent, but I think, and I know Dean Bell used to do this as well. When you got guys like Connie and all those, like even like Omar to an extent, like grabbing like the best union players out of school. But the selling point back in the day was like, you'll be on TV and with the 20s on Sky Sports every week. So you're going to be like, I feel like the development path for rugby union could come through rugby league, and I know leaguers don't want to hear that, but it is a great way to do it as well, because there's enough talent there, bro.
The boys asked me about the Warriors the other day, a couple of boys in the OGs group, and I said to this about the Warriors. So a couple of years ago, they kept the competition running, and everyone gave them a pass. I think everyone knew the situation. Even when Steve Kearney was there and he got sacked, everyone was like, "Oh fuck, pretty tough on Steve Kearney." They've done a lot at the Warriors to keep the game going. They all relocated, and I think Nathan Brown plays into this as well. They got a lot of pats on the back, man, and what it did was, I think a lot of people within that organisation started to feel those pats in the back, kick the feet up, and it's going to leave them in a hole for about 5 years. Because not only because did they go, fuck, we've done a good job here, the NRL looking after us, they will repay us. They're not going to get repaid as much as what they've lost in the development side of things by not having a New South Wales Cup, a 20-side happening, integrating with their youngsters over there, developing the fucking 16s to 20s. So in 2 years, when I talk about those youngsters coming through the Warriors that I'm not really seeing, there's a couple that are nice. I think the centre Jacko, Vialea, he's nice, only 19. But when I think of the Warriors of past, it's generally like at least maybe 2 outside backs that I like that are coming through. Yeah, they've debuted a fair few ice, but they haven't really looked ready. They haven't been up to scratch, and I think it's because it's a knock-on effect from what's happened from moving over, relocating from coronavirus, and not being able to develop their youngsters there and bring them through for sure. Yeah, and I think they're going to be in a hole. Whoever gets the job has got to realise that it's going to take 2 or 3 years minimum.
I wish Gus stayed there. Gus would have been huge. He's good enough to do 2 clubs, I reckon. Like if we want to actually really care about the game, and especially the game in New Zealand, he needs to be over there and doing the rebuild as well, I reckon.
The thing that fucks me off about the Nathan Brown axing and all that, the whole situation. So I'm at a point, like I've spoken to Scope about the 5 stages. I like this. The 5 stages.
Warriors people listen in. I know you think we're Warriors haters, but this is, I feel like Jacko sums
I'm not a Warrior hater.
People think,
I call it the 5 stages of keeping the faith, ice. So you'd like this. So the first one is just pure disappointment. This has happened for fucking 26 years now. The first one's pure disappointment because you come into a preseason with the Warriors. They typically recruit pretty fucking well. Last year was no different. You get Adden and Lodge and guys like Tohu in previous years, Roger, Ryan Hoffman, Sean came back, James Maloney. Like,
they do recruit well.
They recruit really fucking well. And you expect so much of them, and you're pretty much let down in the first month of footy, historically. That's what happens. They lose 3 of their first 4, they lose 4 of their last
Notorious slow starters.
They do their best work in the origin period normally.
No, but the origin period's also a fucking myth with the Warriors.
Is it?
It's a myth.
2011, they lost their first 3 games, made a GF.
Well, there is obviously outlying years, but the second stage is finger pointing. So what happens with Warriors fans is after that first month, we typically start to point the finger. Players, coaches, administration, whatever it is, we start to look to people to blame.
Fans,
probably a little
members.
bit of Kiwi culture. And inevitably, administration makes some weird call, whether it's an axing someone or they sign someone. You go, that's a bit of a weird signing. They always react early in the fucking year. That's happened this year as well. Stage 3 ice is pure bewilderment. You just get confused. Why is a talented roster like this? It's a top 8 forward pack. They've got Reece Walsh. They've got Sean Johnson. Why isn't it working? The coach ends up having no answers. You get a guy like Nathan Brown going into the press conference saying things like, I think sometimes the boys go out there just happy to compete. I'm playing fucking NRL. What do you mean you're happy to compete? I don't fathom that. Then it becomes a bit of a giggle. as we talk about, because you just
Yeah.
start to just enjoy the other teams putting on clinics. You start to watch Melbourne score 70 points and you go, geez, Melbourne are good. Or you go, fuck the Bird Gang on a Saturday night. They're fun to watch when they're running up 30. And then you get to the point which you brought up the other day where you said you just start, it's like empathy. You just start to feel,
I actually feel sorry.
you
for
feel
him.
sorry for him.
I'm
It
at
happens
that now
every
for
year,
him.
bro.
Yeah.
You get after this, usually it's after the Origin period. This year it's happened before. But you just start to feel sorry for them. And this is different because they look like a group of boys that just want to get home.
Yeah.
And it's obviously circumstances change. But the scope, you said something about like, oh, they're going to be in a bit of a hole. I could cop a 5-year plan or a 7-year plan as a fan. If there was a fucking clear 5 or 7 year plan.
It's got to be the right guy too, though.
Well, we had it with Brian Smith. Brian Smith came over with all the bells and whistles, with all these amazing pathway plans, did fuck all. Gus came in with all the amazing pathway plans. COVID obviously hit, did fuck all. So there's a...
Gus would have been your guy. You just needed Gus to
Sure,
hang in there.
yeah, Gus is good because he doesn't give a fuck and he can make decisions and like he can ride it out. You know
the
what I mean?
fans don't give a fuck anymore, mate, because we keep getting told that there's these guys coming in to build these amazing pathways and show all these young kids down south that there's a pathway through rugby league, and it doesn't fucking exist. And I'm getting a little bit in the journo bag here, but it's a failed breakdown between the NZRL administration and the Warriors, which
That's
has
always been the case.
always
eh?
been the case, and it's a fucking joke. It's at the detriment of the game. That's why everyone plays. It's not why everyone plays rugby union, because everyone wants to be an All Black, but that's why the best talent comes over here. That's why they signed you. Parramatta signed you as a fucking 14-year-old. That's why Roger goes to the Roosters when he should be playing for the Warriors from the jump.
They can't. The thing of they say this. The Wales can't have everyone as well. You know what I mean?
But can they
But
have
they've
someone?
got to have the right ones.
No, so when actually Scope's dad come over and signed me from Parramatta, but because Scope's old boy's from around that way, is he?
No, they did. We did a tour. We did a tour of New Zealand. We played 4 different teams.
Yeah, I remember
up
that.
the North Coastline. Yeah.
So Parramatta used to come over, bring their 16s, 18s. We used to hear about all these kids coming through. We used to play them, like our Waikato side used to go play them as well. But then they had an attachment to the area. So any of the gun guys that were coming through, if they weren't picked up by the Wars, Parramatta would just come pick them up. Bulldogs used to have Wellington. Newcastle was in Wellington as well. That's Benny Martinelli actually signed off Newcastle before he came to the Warriors as well. But it's hard because you don't have that 20s competition there anymore. They all used to be like... Because we were on TV, we were like half little superstars, but getting paid $5,000
and rat styles. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
around.
the thing. It's like everyone goes, "What's the answer for the Warriors?" The three of us aren't. We're not Gus Gould. We all know it.
But
It's the fucking pathway system. Someone's just got to go in there, and like I said, I can cop a 5-year
It's
plan.
poison behind the snes, bro.
Poison.
It's got to be
My
at the
dad-
top,
my dad-
bro. It's got to be at the top.
My dad's been involved
It's disgusting. Bro.
around junior rugby league and around rugby league circles for years, and the difference between like Penrith Junior Rugby League, Para Junior Rugby League, he's had dealings with the Warriors, New Zealand Rugby League, New Zealand Multi Rugby League.
Bro.
It's like toxic behind
New Zealand
there.
Rugby League and the Warriors on an administrative level, it's the most
Everyone looks after themselves, basically.
100%.
That's all it is. They just don't.
What are they looking after? Like money? Is it a money conversation?
Status.
Or status?
Status.
egos,
Yep.
all of that bullshit, bro. And until that's fixed, they're not going to do anything.
Who,
They're gonna
who
have
runs the
red hot-
NZRL?
Oh, they've got a board of a bunch of
No,
old white dinosaurs. I couldn't name them off the top of my head.
Yeah.
No, it's just a mixture of just like toxic people in and around, like guys with a little bit of money.
Guys
and-
with too much power, bro.
They're literally across the road from each other too.
Yeah, it's not even really a road. It's that little shitty cul-de-sac by fucking Gate D.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the Warriors. That's the Origin chat. Should we move on to a bit of game preview, Skip?
Me and Jackson went through like the percentages of their best years of when, and they were predominantly Kiwi teams that made the GFs.
Yeah,
So-
2002, I think they only had 4 Australian players. Or no, 2011, they only had 4 Australian players.
Yep.
And in 2002, I think they had 7.
And Fleddy's basically Kiwi, isn't he?
Lady Bakley, Kiwi.
But like we're looking at the numbers and what the common theme was, but they did have superstar sevens in that year. Eshday, both Eshdays as well, and a
Stacey and Sean.
couple Aussies in really key positions. 13 was always important for the Warriors. I think you got a mutters Josh Curran who's good enough to take that role as well. We had a really good props that it was Aussie and Adams good
Steve
enough.
Price and-
Steve
You
Price.
know who I think of would be perfect, and I don't know if he'd even be available, but when I look at the guy, so I try to identify teams, if I was in the Warriors, try to identify teams that the Roosters, the Eels, Storm, guys who, teams that have got really good rosters and then maybe they're under a bit of salary cap pressure, even Oh no, probably not even Manly. But I'd look at a guy like Nathan Brown at Para. Like Matt, they're trying to really hard to try to keep Ryan Madison. Does a guy like Nathan Brown become available because he'd be the sort of guy?
They signed Mitch Barnett. Like that. That's what I mean.
Mitchy Barnett. There we go.
recruiter,
He's
but-
a nice signing.
But that's it, Scope. Recruitment's not an issue.
Yeah.
They've got Luke Metcalf, Dylan Walker, Mitch Barnett going next year. Neokore from Para's going
Barnett
as well.
is going to be perfect for him.
But everyone's
Barnett
perfect,
is going to be
bro. Reece
perfect.
Walsh was perfect. Adam was perfect. It's not a play.
Nah.
Sean was perfect. It's different. It's just I don't see the Warriors getting out of this hole by signing good players. I think it goes way deeper than that.
It's,
Be an interesting conversation if Toddy Payton stayed there as well. Like,
yeah,
we've,
Toddy
we've
would
been
be
able to see what he's done.
They offered him the contract. He just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, fair. I don't know.
But you know what? And the more I look at it now too, we've spent a lot of time on the Warriors. I don't know if we want to spend any on the Tigers as well, but
Yeah,
the fact that Toddy Payton spent a couple of years there and turned it down to go to a Cowboys team. You looked at that Cowboys team a couple of years ago. On paper, you probably would have thought Warriors were the better gig out of the two.
100.
The fact that he turned it down, I think it was legit family reasons for him because maybe the relocation was an actual thing for him. But the other thing, Gus spent maybe 18 months there and probably looked at it and went, this job's fucked.
Yeah.
Like, this is too hard.
Nathan Brown happy to walk as well. I think at a certain point you've got to start having a look at the Cameron George and Mark Robinsons of the world and going, maybe they're not creating the most perfect environment that's conducive of successful coaching.
Have they got too much power, those boys?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Got a fucking ego on him. So remember,
I never really heard too much about him.
Robinson was allegedly, well, not allegedly, he's the one that blew up with Matty Lodge.
Yep.
So Matty Lodge walked as well. So I think there's the power brokers across that entire club and system. And the Tigers are no different. You look at a guy like Pascoe and Tim Sheens where there's this weird, Tim Sheens kept on using when
Tigers is just as toxic.
Bring back Eric Watson. Yeah. The glamour fucking billionaire.
The Tigers, Tim Sheens, when he went on 360, kept talking about, he used the round hole square peg analogy with Madge, saying Madge is a great guy, just not the right fit. But they've had so many guys that seem to be the right coaches, maybe not Jason Taylor and Mick Potter, but you know what I mean? They haven't been able to, since Tim Sheens, to get a guy that fits. And I don't know if Tim Sheens is going to be able to find a guy that fits because it's not him, you know what I mean?
Is there enough coaching talent or is there enough playing talent?
There's not.
We
There's
might
not.
we might just be and now we're bringing in a new fucking team as well, and Redcliffe as well. There's just so much more options for kids to do as well. Like I think rugby league numbers are going to be going down and down over time just because of the options of everything. I don't know. There's an answer there somewhere. None of us just know what it is. But there's someone that's going to be looking at Warriors that loves fixer-uppers. You know, some people that look at houses like, I'd love to turn that into something. There's got to be a coach that wants to do that.
You never know.
There
Maybe
would be.
Stace is the guy, Ice. Who knows?
Stace,
Maybe
mate.
Stace is the guy.
Stace is fucking the goat. I love Stace, but
Me old halves partner. Yeah, he's all right.
Scope quickfire, then give us who coaches the Tigers in 2023, who coaches the Warriors. Throw some
Tigers, I
names.
can't get a fucking...
Throw some names at the dartboard. Have a crack.
Flano. Tigers for me.
Who goes Wires?
I reckon Flano to Dogs because they won't get Serraldo.
I reckon they'll get Serraldo.
Yeah.
Who's Serraldo?
Serraldo to the Dogs.
Dogs?
Flano to what's left on the table? Paul Green.
Paul Green. Who else is
The Wild.
I think Christian Wolf makes too much sense for the Warriors.
Well,
I think it's got
yeah.
to be Christian Wolf. If they can get Christian Wolf,
That's a good shout.
That's a good shout.
Adam will obviously endorse it. He loves all that.
Yeah,
that whole
all the
Tongan
Tongan boys love him.
Fuck one
Bro,
up,
that could be your one, man.
Hey,
There you go.
get the Walker Bros, man. Come on.
You're on fire today, Jacko. I like it.
And
Walker
the Tigers.
Bros. Yeah, Walker Brothers.
Fuck it.
There you go. Fucking that's give me. I don't reckon Serraldo will leave Penrith. I don't think he's going to leave it. So I'm going to go Flano at the Dogs. I like your Christian Wolf to the Warriors. Knows what it's to be around the Islander community. Knows how to get those boys, make them tick. Innovation. Go back to the Tigers 2005. How'd they win the comp? They threw the ball around. They were innovative. Walker Brothers. There you go.
That's
Put
how
them at the Tigers.
That's how the Warriors got to 2002 and 11. They were throwing the ball around as well. Maybe the Warriors just need to be themselves. I've always talked about this as well. Everyone saw Melbourne and got Melbourneitis and get Kearney and we need to be like Melbourne.
Are the Walker brothers still coaching now?
Correct. Yep.
Still up at North?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah. As far as
We'll check that.
As of earlier
We'll
this
probably
year,
get corrected. Correct us in the comments if we're wrong.
even if they're not still coaching now, get them in there.
Joey's been massive on him, eh? Joey's been pushing.
They should give them the 6-month rest of the year contract now to see just what they can toss up.
I think the whole point with the Walker brothers is
couldn't
they
do
need
that,
a full
could ya?
preseason because it's such a
Oh yeah,
outlandish
technical.
game. I mean, you
yeah.
played against them, right? So you'd understand. It's such a hard game plan to probably implement halfway through a year.
Yeah, you need.
I would assume. I don't know, but
Yeah, bring him in now though if you're going to get him in. So
I've
give
always
him
used
18 months.
I've always used that Cool Runnings analogy. You know, when Cool Runnings and the Jamaican team tries to be like the Swiss team.
Yeah.
I've always felt like the Warriors are like that. We've grown up watching Stacey Jones, all the kids have watched Shawnee Johnson grow up now. But as soon as you're on the touch court, it's like bang, Felitti.
I feel like the
that sort
Tongans
of
played
shit as well.
an enterprising brand of footy under Christian Wolf. Like they threw the ball around heaps against the Kiwis when they knocked them out.
I don't reckon it was amazing. Like,
Tongan side?
Like, no, that was great side, don't get me wrong. But it wasn't flashy.
They played to their strength, which is power
Just bang.
game.
Yeah.
And then like Tuilona, like he's a gun runner as well.
Yeah.
So he just go bang. It wasn't like pretty, but it was just fucking effective.
Little mutters too. I love that.
Tackling Tongans all day.
Benny Mutters Marcilla, fucking, that would have got him a contract a couple of years later to come back to NRL.
All right, guys, before we get into the NRL, this podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. The Lawnmower 4.0 is back. If you want to shave the bush, we're rolling into winter. We're starting to care a little bit less about manscaping, but make sure you look after yourself. Look good, feel good, play good in the bedroom, on the field, and in life as well. Use my code ICE for 20% off and free shipping. Use my code ICE, 20% off and free shipping. Shout out Manscaped.
All right, that's the coaching tree chat. Let's move on. We will preview this week's games. We're at an hour already, so we'll rip through these boys. But Friday, Cowboys taking on the Dragons. Scope, Maz, I'll start with you. What are you looking at in this one?
Yep, just looking to see how the boys are going to back up. Interesting, if a lot of these young guys played their first Origin game or been around in Origin camp, I think it obviously showed it to be a benefit for Hamiso and Magic Murray last week against the Titans. Those boys really lifted. Ruben Cotter, 80 minutes in his first ever game. I will say, from the guys that I played with over the years, that they always preferred to get the game out straight away, out of the way straight away. So in saying that, what I'm saying is Wednesday, play straight away in that Friday game before the soreness really proper sinks in after about 3 or 4 days. So these boys are young, a lot of them, too, at the Cowboys. They should be good to go, but Ruben Cotter played 80 minutes. I think if this game was played any other week away from Origin, Cowboys every day of the week at Townsville, they throw Dragons play a negative style of footy and Cowboys will throw it around on them.
Ice, can you just move slightly to your left, bro? You're sliding out of frame. Now you're left. This way. Yeah, there we go.
Agree with the scope. I wouldn't even Cowboys are probably a good enough team now.
They'll probably still pump them anyway.
Yeah, they probably don't even need those guys, to be fair, to beat the Dragons.
Tommy Dearden will be better for the
he'll
run.
come back, play 6.
Be hard to put the shorts on with the stiffy with the boys got at the moment as well.
Jeremiah Nanai, I wouldn't imagine he'd play.
Bro, did he have the Celtics physio team in
Paul
the
Pierce,
change
bro.
room?
He pulled the Paul Pierce game.
Marcus Smart, is that his name? Bro, that ankle injury looked bad too.
Yeah, it looked ugly, man.
But he'd be swollen today. Do you reckon he got an injection? Would have had to.
Yeah, he would have to. Yeah,
He said he had a post game. They interviewed him. He said he popped a couple of pills and ran back out there. So
Dodgy.
Slowed those fucking Panadol Rapids.
Helam Lukey though.
Yeah, go.
Tom Gilbert. They'll be all right.
Chatty Townsend, 5 of the year.
Yep.
Idea. All right, let's move on. Saturday, Gold Coast take on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Again, a few guys. Who'll be
Titans
back?
team,
Titans. You like the Titans?
No, they just make me laugh, bro. Like, you know that sort of thing you just said about the Warriors? That 5-step thing there? They're not far behind him, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like,
In fact, they're 0.1 of pure disappointment. They have all the expectation, those cunts.
Yeah, they should be better.
Yeah, they should be
fucking be. They should be.
You might see a game from Fafita.
Nah, he's still out.
Still
Is he
out.
still out?
He's out.
Oh,
They reckon
okay.
another 2 weeks.
It does scare me that.
Tino? You just have to rock up and put 80 out.
Tino does Tino every week. Like,
Don't give a fuck.
I can't believe he said he wasn't sure he was going to make Origin. That makes me fucking love that cunt even more. He's
His mullet's
seen
getting
him
out of
playing
hand
in that team, the way how inconsistent they are, and the way he just keeps ripping in. He's a gun, Tino. So I never doubt Tino, but
Stay humble, G.
Paulie Turner at 6 scares me, Jacko. I'm not going to lie.
Like me some Paulie Turner.
I don't mind Paulie Turner in a bit of rocks and dimes in the setters now. We got him fucking playing 6.
What's the Will Smith scenario? Does anyone know what's happened there?
No, apparently just, again, it's the relocation. Relocation's the trendy word at the moment. If you if you don't want to be playing somewhere,
Very Redcliffe-y Will Smith at the moment.
Is he getting that
I don't know.
vibe?
That's just I probably just hang around you too much. I'm getting Redcliffe vibes off here.
Oh, one of the great relocation stories, Joel Moon, when he signed at Salford from the Warriors after that year, he was there for a year, and he goes, I'm starting to get homesick, and they released him, and he signed at Leeds.
that's a funny story about that too, bro. So Jody,
For Leeds for 4 years.
He was
too.
a gunner.
Jody Broughton, my ex-teammate, he fucking I'll give shout out to Jody Broughton. So apparently they were sitting in a meeting and the coach had no idea that he'd signed at Leeds because all the boys were like, they had a meeting, they're talking about it and they're like, fuck, like Mooney, how come, what happened to Mooney? And then the coach is going, he's coming back. Yeah, he's going to be here. He's going to be at training. And they're going, He's fucking signed at Leeds. And they're like, no. And they had to show him the article. That's how he found out. That's how the coach found
even
out.
funnier.
In a video session.
And then one of his quotes was like, "Oh, Leeds must be closer to Australia than something."
He was a gun.
Fuck Super League's a giggle, man. Some of the shit that happens over there, bro.
So willy-nilly.
Oh,
So who are you tipping? I mean,
I'm coming around.
Bucks, I mean, maybe I'm just sucked into the Titans. I like the Titans, man.
The thing of the Rabbitohs, bro, you just don't like. The game with two halves. That's them. But you just don't know what half they're going to toss up and like.
Titans are a bit of the same.
Nah. But Rabbitohs got some they got some finishing power. As well. Cody Walker's.
South are starting to find themselves. They started to play a little bit better last week against the Tigers. They started to get the shit together.
Had a week
the week
off as
before?
well,
Sorry,
yeah.
was it the week before? Maybe. I like Campbell Graham over to that left edge. I think it really shores up and makes their left edge dominant again.
And those kind of fringe players and Rabbitohs, we're looking at that Origin game. Like you can think you Claw Matangi's like
even Cam Murray, bro. Cam Murray's going to want to play well. Cookie's going to want to play well.
I don't think they necessarily walk into the team, but it's just there's that tiny bit of extra motivation to go, fuck, if I can have a string a game here, I might be a chance there. So I think Rabbitohs going to be way too good.
I think South will dominate early, but I wouldn't be surprised just because it's the Titans if they end up coming back, making a bit of a game of South's kick away and win.
As the Titans do.
Yeah.
I think.
But if it's
I'm
South,
going to go the Titans. Fuck it.
Go on then, Joe. Treat yourself.
Yeah, I love Big Tino. That mullet is getting absolutely out of hand. I love it, but fuck me.
What about him and fucking Ruben Cotter next to each other? Like,
I wouldn't mind
Kitty's
seeing
mullet next to the big dog.
I wouldn't mind seeing a little tied out back to the blondie for Tino. You didn't like that, Scope.
I don't like my middles to be fucking dying the hair
Clean cut Tino would be different beast, eh? He's a good looking rooster. Speaking of roosters, Bondi Boys taking on Melbourne at the Sydney Cricket Ground, 5:30. What do you like?
I kind of agree with Scope. We talked about this off air. I think Roosters get up for this game. I think Pappy's still that really big one, but they're still talented. Money, does he put Money plays?
Money plays, yeah. Money will play.
He'll definitely play. I think Cheese will.
Money plays.
I think Cheese will want to have a really good game this week as well. They've come off the bye as well, so they're refreshed. They're ready to go. So I think Roosters will make a game of it, but I just think there's a little bit too much class in Storm.
Watch out for the hectic Cheese coming off the bench. He's going to be going fucking nuts in this game. A lot of people will be looking at him because of obviously the off-season stuff. He's going to fucking go hard. Watch out for the Cheese. A little bit. Anytime jam.
A little bit of last try score Scope. You like that?
He might even start. I reckon he'll start maybe in the sneak Harry Grant on.
Start and bring Harry off the bench because he just played Origin. Could see that happening for sure.
Yeah.
First try scorer. Go the Cheese first.
Are you jumping on Melbourne? Who are you tipping?
Yeah, Melbourne.
I think Suwali strings a really good game together.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to peak over just being in camp.
They look a bit light in the outside backs as well because obviously Coates won't play now. They already had Marion Sevi and Urumea playing, who was backups for him.
Young Tonumapea's back.
Young Tonumaipea. He's nice, bro, young Tonumaipea. So he's played a bit of union. He played at the Titans last year, at the back end of last year, or maybe the year before. He's a solid player, man, who knows the system well. He'll be good. So if he slides back in, I'll be a little bit less worried about the Melbourne Storm, but I still think the Storm's too good for the Roosters.
In the rugby union bag real quick, the Rebels had an awful year because they're an awful side, but he was fucking good, man.
He's a good player, man.
Very good.
Strong, eh?
Strong, bro.
Fucking strong.
Strong as.
Good finisher. All right, let's move on to the Broncos taking on the Canberra Raiders. That's the late game on Saturday. Brisbane obviously will be bringing back a few of their fucking
stars.
What
Young
do you like in this one,
stars.
Ice?
I don't mind the Raiders, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the money line, 275.
Yeah, that's what I looked at too.
Yeah, is Reynolds back?
Yeah, Ren's back.
Oh, yeah. That's
Ren's back.
you see Jack
Capewell's out. He wasn't named in the squad, and I dare say Katoni won't play.
Yeah. They got enough to cover that way.
Yeah. Jordan Rapp's out for the Raiders.
Oh, flip of the coin for me. I know the lines are...
If you're just going to have a dabble at the price, probably have a dabble on the Raiders, eh?
Yeah.
At the price, just because it's fucking...
Suncorp.
For a giggle?
Yeah, sad. Raiders playing nice footy, man. Raiders has got around. Ever since I sprayed Ricky about fucking getting into the Gus Gould side of things, he must have been watching it. You're welcome, Stick.
The Tigers taking on the Bird Gang. Scope. Your boys, 10th plays 13th. Do they turn this one around? Fresh off smacking my boys?
Seagulls pump them, I reckon.
Yeah.
They look good. I know it was only the Warriors and we can't judge off that, but I feel like they're starting to hum. They won't do anything amazing this year, but they should smack the Tigers.
There'll be a lot of points. Go overs in this game.
Ooh.
There'll be a lot of tries. That's what I'd be playing.
Speaking my language, Scope. Very overs.
Newcastle taking on the Penrith Panthers at 4 o'clock.
It's a bad week to be a night, man. It's a fucking bad weekend to be a night. Holy C.
What's the overs on this?
Fuck. What do you mean? What's the line? Whatever the line is, double it for the Panthers. They are going to be fucking pissed off, those big three, I reckon, if they play them. I wonder if they're travelling that well that Ivan has the luxury of just fucking
Yeah, he does. He's got
kicking
the
the feet
luxury.
up. Yeah, kicking the feet up, or do the boys, does Nath get in there and just go, fuck, I want to play.
Sully, man. Get the Sully back in.
Sully
put it on
undefeated
two.
this
That's
year,
what I
Sully.
mean. Like, those boys have played well when the boys missed. Do you think long term, does Nath? Oh, fuck, man.
Nathan, you heard the interview, eh?
I just got a feeling with the little bit that we know, Nath, he's a competitive fucking little cunt. He's going to want to get out there and play. Isaiah, Jerome's going to play every day of the week. Jerome fucking puts his hand up.
Yeah.
Toto, he'll play.
Crichton will play.
Maybe Toto, they could rest because Toto go through a shitload of work and he's come back from an injury ravaged back into the season last year.
He's not as powerful with that little knee
Yeah.
injury at the moment. Like, he's not really busting through tackles. Like
Yeah,
he
still
normally
the same
can.
amount of work. He's just not carrying. His post-contact meters aren't my regular meters for a game this year. He's just getting through. He's just, I'm beating him by about 10 meters.
Everyone going Manly 13 plus.
Yeah.
Sorry, not
Oh,
Manly.
it's Panthers
Panthers
sorry.
13 plus.
13 plus.
Whatever the start is, add another 10.
and the rest.
All right, speaking of 13 plus, Warriors taking on the Cronulla Sharks. Fresh off a Reece Walsh backflip and the coach getting sacked. Ice, what do you like in this one?
Are Sharkies catfishing us? Let's go.
I want to look at the price.
$1.20, $4.50.
What's the start?
Yeah, I'm just not sold on the Sharks as much as I was at the start of the year. Me and Scope were talking plenty about the Sharks at the start of the year. I know they're going to beat the Warriors, respectfully to the boys from the land of the long white cloud, but I'm just not sold on them, eh?
Skip?
Yeah, I'm with Ice. Yeah, I said it a couple of weeks ago. I'm not too sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they go either way. Nicholas Hines, he's the one. Origin. Nicholas Hines, does he find his way playing Origin with a couple of big performances? Actually, fuck, it's the Warriors. What am I thinking? Sharks will smoke them. Just because
They
it's the
only played a
Warriors.
few weeks ago. I went to the game and they smacked the shit out of them with.
They beat them with
men.
11 players at one stage. They scored 2 tries with 11. Sharks.
To be fair, it's a good round to. There's a couple iffy ones. You could almost pick the full round, I reckon.
Yeah.
Gave all
They're all
favours.
pretty short.
Yeah.
And we finish off with the rivalry game, Bulldogs taking on the Parramatta Eels. It's the Monday game. Monday Night Football's back. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Have I seen that
because
right?
they give them a little bit more time.
Right. I start with you on this one.
Why'd they put the
versus
Bulldogs on the
Parra.
Monday, though? Should put the Bulldogs on the Friday. They probably would have expected Fox playing, but who else?
Para, I think Dylan Brown's in too good of form. He's just gone back home for a bit of a break as well. So
Saw that. That's
he'd be nice and fresh, bro. I think he's getting right up there with some of the best 5'8" in the comp. He'd be in the top 3, 4.
4 p.m.
Money.
4 p.m. Afternoon game. Where are the Bulldogs? They're playing at Acor? Yeah, okay, Acor. Yeah, Para will do a number on them as well.
I think Matty Burton's starting to come alight too. I think he played his best game. Maybe that was just because it was against the Panthers and he's missing out on rep teams and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with Scope. Eels get it done. Especially the boys after a loss.
Yeah.
Junior and that be pissed off.
Junior, yeah, it's a bad.
RCG's going to pump someone. I don't know who it is, and it might be high, but he's going to fucking pump someone.
There we go. That is the YKTR Sports Show for another week, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Shout out to everyone who messages about Mace too. Mace is coming back on for the Origin preview games 2 and 3, and he's looking forward to it. So
The straight shooter.
Yeah, everyone loves it. He was he's a straight shooter, and we're getting him back. So looking forward to that Origin 2 preview. I already can't wait for Origin 2 already. Eh?
So we just brush the NRL shit.
I really couldn't even be bothered talking about it. Apologies to anyone that wanted any in-depth stuff that we normally do on the NRL, but just after Origin, I want game 2 next week.
We'll see you around 18.
Ladies.